waiting for XRP to basically dominate the whole world, right? And every single day, we're getting one step closer. And this is happening right now. XRP every single day has slightly more utility to handle 90% of transactions. Ripple cannot settle 90% of global transactions until its liquidity matures. Liquidity will mature at 500 per XRP. It's priced to be high as 500 before full utility kicks in. With full utility, ODL, XRP will need to be 1,000, 10,000 to move liquidity mature utility will demand. It doesn't need to have the full 90% of global transaction, even if it has, for example, 20. It definitely shows that XRP can reach, $20, even if it can handle like 5% of global transactions and then slowly move up to 90%.
And XRP are destined for greatness here. We're starting to see market participants starting to figure out Ripple has had a plan all along. Ripple is connected globally to 90% of the X market, which means they can settle to 90% of most global payments right now. This is going to be an incredible journey. I'm glad you're on this journey with us. Let's go into this information from Digital Asset Investor. We're also going to explore Ripple's new position here with bullish. We're going to go over what that was about and why that's important. We also have some new information from the federal government here about the ISO migration is complete. What could it mean for Ripple and XRP going forward? Let's start here.
And I think Ripple is on the forefront of that. I mean, look at what they're doing for Gemini's IPO. Yeah, I think they're giving them a $75 million credit facility.
So yeah, Gemini giving them $75 million just confirms that XRP is here to stay, even on the worst bull or bear markets. We also have the Trump speech today, which is happening live. Smash that like button, guys. I will keep you guys updated on that.
Is that correct? Did you guys see that story?
Yep, that's correct.
Well, Ripple announced this morning, 51 minutes ago, congratulations to Bullish on their successful IPO. And they arranged, Bullish did a partnership with Ripple, evidently, to where they've arranged for $1.15 billion of the IPO proceeds to be paid to them in Ripple's stablecoin. So, the fact that Ripple's out there doing this should not be surprising. They now have a stablecoin.
Welcome to the stream, Nico. And also, the most important factor here we have is that, Trump making a speech about the rate cuts today that Jerome Powell has hinted, which I will stream live right now as soon as we get onto them. This is very bullish news. Like, Ripple literally has so much money. It is getting a new partnership every single day, guys.
They're soon to have a banking license, I would assume. They own a large exchange in Hidden Road. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to look at the fabric that's being woven here. And
Scott Milker's like, oh shit, will they stop talking about Ripple and XRP? Oh my God, look at this guy. He's like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Man, it feels like this is starting to come together, right? People
just
are
after
like, oh shit.
This was announced at 2 p.m. Look what happened to the prices. Literally, we saw a pump from 2.8 to 3.5, so 25 cents increase. Definitely a very strong start off for Ripple today.
Maybe I was wrong.
Like, we are waiting for Trump to make his announcement as well, which is another thing. This is also going to be very bullish for XRP. So there are many momentums, especially this rate cuts we have been waiting for. This is another thing that, people want to see.
About Ripple and XRP. Ripple does actually have a plan. They are becoming a bank. XRP could be institutionally ready for world adoption, right? How much billions of dollars could be saved every single day using XRP and RLUSD over the traditional SWIFT system, right? How much longer are we going to continue giving money to these big conglomerate banks that crap all over us, that we have to go to them and beg them to give us our own money? Sick of it.
See what it looks like. I mean,
XRP is not going to replace banks. It's just going to try to help them, actually. So I don't know what the point here was. Banks are still going to dominate. It's just that XRP is, going to integrate with that. And so it's all the technology.
Didn't look deeply into that, but as you describe it, it seems like Ripple is really skating to where the puck's at with the institutional and government side of crypto. Like they have the money, they have the power, they have the, regulatory clarity now. And as you said, they can actually utilize their own stable coin to increase usage of it for all these purposes. It's pretty brilliant.
And they can cash their XRP stack in for stablecoin. So it's this huge collateralized, 21st century exchange that is now offering IPO services and payment through their stablecoin. That's first of its kind. It's like what's going on in Wyoming. No one's ever done that before. It's never happened. So it definitely deserves our attention.
This is what I've talked about liquidity in the crypto markets associated with, equity IPOs, right? So, Bullish and Ripple doing some things. There's liquidity being passed back and forth there.
I'm going to give you all the information you need to know in Bullish after this clip. I just want to make sure that you understand. After we play this, I'm going to get into...
I feel like XRP is still very, very far from, having these global transactions that we have been asking for, but that's totally fine. We don't need them yet. We can wait like 1 to 2 years. We don't need to hit XRP for $10. That would be awesome for XRP to hit that amount. But even this moment, like XRP just hitting like $4, I feel like a lot of people would be happy.
What's going on with Ripple and Bullish, so you're absolutely caught up.
Gemini taking a credit facility from Ripple, liquidity being passed back and forth there. There's new capital that's created literally out of thin air associated with Gemini's IPO that's happening momentarily. That's going to continue to fuel a move higher. And again, that to me, that's the reason why there's going to be a breakout to the upside that's going to be pretty extraordinary in my mind. You just can't.
So yeah, that's the thing with Ripple. It has more potential updates to actually pump, which makes me very happy. It's not just the rate cuts, it's also the ETFs combined with that. It's a very powerful move from anyone, holding Ripple right now. Even just the government politics affect crypto so much.
Just can't continue to create and facilitate sizable amounts of liquidity that just goes nowhere.
It's no different than the ICO, but now we're doing IPOs on crypto exchange.
If you guys don't know what ICOs are, they are basically when you could buy a crypto before it even launched. An IPO is initial public offering. That's like on the stock market. So that's what we're seeing now. IPOs are basically, he's saying, the new ICO. So ICO is when you bought a coin, and IPO is when you buy a company before it goes public.
Right, which is this. Look at how much. Look at the ICO craze and how much liquidity that pumped into the markets. I mean, that was an incredible sight to see. It was money sloshing all around, everywhere, every day. Now you're looking at Ripple doing the exact same type of a structure, and if you think about it, it's genius. If I'm going to launch my IPO,
and Ripple even said they're going to go public with IPO, right?
I'm a big crypto company, a Gemini, and I want to partner with somebody that can give me all the collateral that I need, all the loan that I need, the facilities that I need, time. They actually have the exchange where people can go buy it, both retail, institutional, the whole gamut. It's accessible by all human beings. How do you think you would gatekeep that type of a project? Well, you force people to buy it in your stable coin, right? And then you have more liquidity coming in. It's the exact same recipe that the ICOs did. You had to get in. If you wanted to buy a unique ICO on Binance, what did you have to hold? BNB. You had to hold Binance. So same. It's just happening now with IPOs, which is insane because there's so much more money in the IPOs, and there's so much more traditional finance that is paying attention to this, but it's being done in a high-speed rail versus an old, locomotive.
What's going to happen is this is the first phase of basically Ripple money. So they have just started a new wave of gathering money and buying companies, because with these companies over the next 3 years, with the administration we have now, with the government, they can make even more money. It's like a never-ending cycle. With all these companies they're buying, they can make more revenue. Sure, they're reinvesting all the profits after the SEC lawsuit.
It's steam locomotive. It's
all right. Let's take a look here at what's going on with Ripple and Bullish. The latest news connecting Ripple and Bullish centers on the Bullish initial public offering on the New York Stock Exchange, which closed on April 14, 2025, trading under BL ticker. What makes this IPO historic is that Bullish received $1.15 billion in proceeds using a diverse set of stablecoins, including Ripple's RLUSD stablecoin, which is issued on the XRP ledger. It marks the first time a US public markets IPO has been settled entirely in stablecoins, demonstrating the growing role of Ripple's blockchain-based payment in institutional finance and capital markets. They are setting the trend here. They are showing the rest of the world that
So they're starting to pay through their blockchain, which is absolutely amazing.
this works. You can use stablecoins to help a company IPO and do it all instantly on the blockchain, on the XRP ledger. This is the future. We just have to get more people to understand what's going on here, and then it's going to be all over but the shouting. Here are the key points. Most of Bullish's IPO proceeds were in USDC, EURC, and Ripple's RLUSD, which specifically spotlighted is successful in handling major financial transactions. After receiving the stablecoins, Bullish transferred custody to Coinbase, which now manages the assets for the public company. Bullish's CFO and Coinbase's head of institutional product both highlighted that the transaction illustrates the practicality of rising institutional confidence in stablecoins backed by formally regulated rules in the US. The collaboration evidences Ripple's infrastructure and liquidity, making RLUSD and XRP ledger integral to modern financial markets at a potential.
Ripple's USD and XRP ledger as key players. I feel like more and more they will want to pay through their own bridge because that's what will raise their utility, right? A lot of the payments will go through their own financial bridge, which they have been building for years. So maybe some of these companies, like half they will pay in dollars and the other half they will use Ripple's bridge, which they will have to transfer the money out or use that transfer and put it back in fees. It makes total sense. It's like a genius move. And it's going to cost them less than transferring all that money back and forth.
Blueprint for future Wall Street deals. And man, it is so crazy. And so HSBC is even saying the timeline for crypto adoption has been accelerated. Let's find out what they're saying here. Then we're going to get into the news about ICE.
It's going to come, isn't it? Two questions. One is in terms of a sense of time. How has the sort of time horizon shortened for you in the last 12 months? Like, was something that you thought was going to happen in 5 years' time? None. When do you think it's going to happen? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. I think the whole crypto story has just been accelerated. But actually, the whole crypto story has been really fast. Bitcoin's white paper was 2008. We're 16 years in. And the US president has basically said the US wants to be a global leader and it's going to underpin the new financial markets and global financial system.
I feel like a lot of people underestimate how new crypto is. It is in its baby stages, basically. 16 years? Didn't like the stock market need 100 or 200 years?
In 16 years. And if you add AI, which is not the topic of today's discussion, if you add AI into the equation, which is going to really help accelerate this even further, because there's a really nice, coordination between AI and blockchain and crypto, it's going to speed it up even more. And we're moving to a world where finance is going to be completely transformed. It's people say, and it's a global financial system, but the majority of the world are not participants. And crypto is really solving the access issue. It's giving individuals with anyone around the world internet connection and a digital asset wallet to participate in financial markets.
Leveling the playing field. That is what is ringing home in my ears as she's talking.
And to have access potentially to US dollars. These are people that never could access.
Basically, crypto and the US government is connecting itself. Both are connecting itself.
Access US dollars. So it's really going to change the game, and it's going to bring more people into global financial markets, and it's going to enhance wealth creation for everyone involved. And so it's great to see administrations and regulators really starting to appreciate that side of the equation. So considering Bitcoin's 16 years old, I'd say we're doing pretty well.
Let me break this down for you.
And XRP is like 10 years old. It didn't start 2013. Yeah, it was 2013. And that's when it really popped off, right? That's when it really did well after their initial public offering. When it was 1 cent, I didn't get it. And it's one of my biggest regrets. But I'm not going to pass up that opportunity to at least teach people the power of XRP.
Other countries around the world are not as interested in buying U.S. treasuries as they used to, right? U.S. treasuries was always considered one of the safest places to invest your money because the U.S. government is going to pay you. Now that we have all of this stuff going on around the world where we're trying to bring manufacturing, all this stuff back to America, other countries are looking, Japan, China, and the UK.
I feel like other countries will be forced to adapt to accept the new currencies like XRP, because the US is already getting full on with it, right? So there's nothing stopping them from just picking XRP like the USA. They will see, oh, that's so much money that we're passing on, because we're not accepting it. Like even the one I don't want to mention on YouTube because I might get demonetized. They are now probably going to be coming back at some point. Seeing how much money US would make, like how much Trump would make from crypto.
Are looking at like, hey, maybe we don't need to buy any more US treasuries. And so some of these countries have been dumping them. And so the US all of a sudden is like, oh snap, dollar dominance is dropping around the world. China and India are trading oil and different things in yuan and not the US dollar. And the US is starting to understand we need a new buyer of US debt.
That's exactly the thing. More people are realizing, especially the US government, is that the dollar is not as strong as it was before. And the US is basically going also in on crypto, technology. The US dollar it's getting more competitive out there.
Could that be, right? And the timing couldn't have been better because that buyer is now stablecoin companies. Stablecoins are backed up by treasuries. Most treasuries, right? You're not going to have a vault with $5 billion in hundreds or 50s, right? Nobody wants to keep that much money on them, but you can have a stack of treasury bills that represents that value. That is what Tether does. That is what USDC does. That is what Ripple is doing. That is what all of these stablecoin companies are going to do. And it's making it easier for people to access dollars around the world because most of the crypto market is traded in US-backed stablecoins. So this is not only helping the US dollar remain strong, but it is the government's way out in the future. Just think of where we would be if we didn't have this right now. We'd be in some little bit more trouble than we are, but this is something that we could talk about down the road here. So the Federal Reserve.
I feel like that's why they're working with all these, payment companies, is because the payment companies are not only used in USA, but they want to be used everywhere. I mean, literally everywhere around the world, not just US. So Ripple has really a global payment plan, like a global worldwide thing.
Financial services, the ISO 20022 migration is complete. It's time to start exploring the possibility and XRP could.
All right, so you guys get the idea. Let's